Welcome back, everybody. Plans for a data center in College Station were scraped earlier this month after vocal opposition from residents, especially in the Midtown area of College Station. The city council was unanimous in voting against the plan, but the question still remains, what's the best way to develop that area? We're honored and thankful to have with us in studio this afternoon, College Station City Councilwoman Mcilhaney. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Asked you to come in because when this vote happened at the recent city council meeting, you ended that meeting by saying, hey, you know what, we need to do and get together a plan for the Midtown area, much like what we did with the Northgate area plan. Before we really dive into that, can you explain to our viewers what is an area plan? Like what goes into this and the purpose of one?
Well, usually they're called a small area plan. That means we take a segment of the city and we do an in-depth exploration with citizens and staff and people that would be impacted by that area and determine the best land use and how we would like to see it develop. And then the city can take measures and steps after that to encourage that type of growth and development. And
we saw that with the Northgate, and the number of people from all corners of the community really came together and said, okay, you know what, let's try to all make sure that every voice is heard in this. So what do you want to see happen with the Midtown area with this? How do we move forward with that?
So there's several competing interests in that area, and it's one of my goals is to have all of the folks come together and so that they can see the challenges. If we go this direction, this challenge is presented. Just for example, with the data center, had that gone in, that would have answered one of our concerns about punching Pebble Creek Parkway through to the south. That would no longer have been possible or even recommended. So there are, and that's just an example of how one action can impact another. So we have the Midtown citizens and residents that live in the Midtown area that want to see the commercial development of that area stimulated so that they can have some tax relief. But my goal for the plan would be to have everyone come together, identify that M1 land that's that the data center would have gone in on, that's light industrials, that's the zoning that is. Should we rezone that? The landscape has truly changed since that was done 30 years ago. And we just need to take a hard look at what we want and what is now one of the central areas of our city for citizens.
Well, and you told me during the break that this Thursday at the city council meeting is the plan for the plan to get together for this.
It's plan the plan. We're not going to do anything other than set out the mechanisms by which we want the plan to be carried out. I feel fairly confident it'll be something similar to the way the Northgate area plan was handled. Staff did a phenomenal job of pulling in, like you said, people from business owners to even alumni. There were all kinds of people pulled in to speak to that. And I would hope that this would go along that same path.
And that's, it's really how it should be.
Sure.
Yes, when we're talking about making sure that all voices are heard when we're trying to figure out what to do with open land in our city, especially now that we're so landlocked, what's the best use of that space?
And I think that the small area plan will tell us.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. It's time for council and staff to sit back and really listen to the folks that are living and working in that area to determine how we can encourage growth in the way that they want. Now, the city does own the land that the data center was going to go on. It also owns the tract adjacent to Costco. So we have a lot of control over what happens on those two tracts. We don't, however, like in the Midtown development that Mr. Murr has, we could do things to encourage that type of development, but ultimately it's up to the landowners how they're going to proceed.
I don't know if you're able to say, but has there been any other entity or business that's come in since the data center vote that it's expressed interest in developing on that piece of property?
Not to my knowledge. The city has had that property for 30 years and always had a long-range plan for it developing into kind of a corporate business center. And the zoning that was appropriate at the time was in light industrial. So to my knowledge, there's not anyone that staff has brought forward. They may bring us something Thursday, you never know.
As a city councilwoman, what's the takeaway for the council looking back at what happened with the data center and everything leading up to the vote, the citizens that reached out? I imagine your email and phone was
it was a little
quite
active.
inundated. Yeah. What's the takeaway from all of that?
I think coming to the citizens ahead of time would have been wise. This was not in any way something that was, we had no idea it was going to be have that kind of impact.
Yeah.
In hindsight, and I think going forward, we'll have foresight and maybe do a workshop ahead of time, so there's opportunity on maybe a Thursday night, you know, for everyone to come through and have this discussion before we move forward to actually a purchase agreement landing on the desk, because that agreement, although it had many outs on it, that there's just a gravity to that we really should have gotten citizen input before we got to that point.
With all the different opinions and everything going on, at least at the...
There were a bunch of different opinions. There was really one loud one.
That is true, but at the end of the day, this is what we like to see, is that citizen input.
Absolutely.
And filling up City Hall when we have these city council meetings. We like that.
Absolutely.
All right, Councilwoman Mcilhaney joining us this afternoon. We do appreciate it. I know you're busy and appreciate your time. Yes, ma'am.